In the 1960s, while billion-dollar aerospace firms were racing for the stars, one man was chaining a fighter jet engine to trees in his backyard. But his goal was not space. It was 610 miles per hour. So, did he walk away alive or not? Art Arfons wasn't born into speed. He was born in Akron, Ohio in 1926 into a working-class family where grease-stained hands and homemade repairs were just part of daily life. His father was a Greek immigrant, his mother half Cherokee. Together, they ran a small feed mill in rural Ohio. It wasn't glamorous, but it was the perfect place for a young boy with mechanical curiosity to start tearing things apart and putting them back together. As a teenager, Art dropped out of school and enlisted in the Navy during World War II. They sent him to diesel mechanic school, then shipped him out to the Pacific. He worked on landing craft during the invasion of Okinawa. It gave him the foundation. After 3 years, he came home, married, and started a family. But the itch to go faster never left him. In the early 1950s, Art teamed up with his older half-brother Walt, and the two started building dragsters. At first, it was just for fun, but their machines were getting faster, louder, and scarier. And before long, they were local legends. So in 1952, the first true green monster roared to life. It was a Frankenstein machine, pieced together from discarded airplane parts, war surplus, and a World War II-era Allison V1710 aircraft engine. That engine alone weighed more than most cars. But Art and Walt made it run. At first, it was teamwork. The brothers shared ideas, tools, and even garage space. But as their cars got faster, their rivalry grew. Eventually, they split, each building his own version of the Green Monster. Even in these early days, Art was thinking beyond speed. He was thinking about safety. He was one of the first to use a parachute to slow dragsters down and helped pioneer the overhead roll cage. All these features are now standard in the sport. But back then, it was all innovation, out of necessity. And Art didn't have a racing team. But his cars were fast, and people noticed. By 1960, Art's ambitions were outgrowing the drag strip. He looked towards the Bonneville Salt Flats, where the real records were set and legends were made. By the early 60s, Art Arfons was done with piston engines. They were loud, heavy, and reaching their limits. He needed something wilder. In 1962, he built his first jet car, the Cyclops. It looked like something out of a sci-fi movie with an open cockpit, the driver sitting right in front of the intake, and a fire-breathing jet engine strapped to the back. It wasn't pretty, but it was fast. Cyclops hit 330 miles per hour, especially considering Art was basically sitting in the airflow path of a jet engine with no windshield. The design had serious flaws. You couldn't fully enclose the cockpit because the intake needed air. That meant no protection for the driver at high speeds. But in true Arfons fashion, he didn't just accept the danger. He engineered around the danger. Cyclops became the first land speed car to use a wing to generate downforce, helping the car stay planted on the salt. Still, Art knew this version wouldn't break records. So in 1964, he made a move that would change everything. He bought a J79 jet engine for $600. It had been declared scrap, and most people wouldn't touch it. But Art chained it between two trees in his backyard and fired it up. Interestingly, it worked. With that, he built a new green monster. With the help of a few tools, he welded together a homemade chassis in his garage. He modified the intake, shaped the frame, and pieced together a cockpit with whatever he had lying around. And then, he went to war. That year, the Bonneville Salt Flats turned into a battleground. Three men were locked in one of the wildest rivalries in motorsport's history. These were Craig Breedlove, Walt Arfons, and Art Arfons. It was the dawn of the jet car wars, and the world was watching. The first big shot came on October 5th, 1964. Art Arfons took his new green monster to the salt and floored it. The car screamed across the flats, and when the dust settled, he'd done it. 434 miles per hour was a new world land speed record. 8 days later, Craig Breedlove fired back. He pushed his Spirit of America to 468, but on October 27th, just 2 weeks later, Arfons crushed the record again, this time hitting 536.71 miles per hour. But the battle wasn't over. On November 2nd, Breedlove raised it to 555. Before he could celebrate, just 5 days later, Art returned once more as on November 7th, 1965. The Green Monster roared to 576.55 miles per hour. In just 2 years, the record passed hands 6 times between Arfons and Breedlove. It was a back and forth unlike anything motorsport had seen. And the most incredible part was that Arfons was doing it all on a shoestring. He didn't have corporate backing or a polished crew. His tires came from surplus stock, and the wheels were often borrowed from trucks. Sometimes they weren't even sure the parts would hold up, but somehow the Green Monster always delivered. While his rivals had precision-built machines and corporate engineers, Art had pure grit and an instinct for machinery that couldn't be taught. He was building these record-breaking rockets in a garage, and yet he was keeping pace with all the advanced tech. That was the magic of Art Arfons. Wait, if this story just blew your hair back like a jet blast, hit that subscribe button. We've got more tales of speed coming your way. By 1966, Art Arfons had one more goal in mind. He wanted to break the 600 miles per hour barrier. It was a dangerous speed. But Art didn't hesitate. He brought a new Green Monster to Bonneville. It was bigger and faster. This time, the car hit an estimated 610 miles per hour. But then, disaster struck. A tiny bearing deep inside the engine seized. At those speeds, that's all it took. The Green Monster exploded into chaos, coming apart at record-setting velocity. Fortunately, Art had just survived the fastest crash in history. Somehow, he walked away alive, covered in salt and bruises. People couldn't believe it. How could someone crash at over 600 miles per hour and live? But for Art, the wreck was more than physical. The machine he'd built and trusted had turned into a fireball in the blink of an eye. Still, he wasn't ready to hang it up. He turned to water speed records, trying his hand at jet-powered boats. And on the exhibition circuit, he built wild turbine cars for show runs. Then came Dallas, 1971. It was supposed to be just another exhibition. The Super Cyclops was set to make a pass at the Dallas International Motor Speedway. A local TV reporter, Gene Thomas, climbed into the passenger seat for a ride along. But then something went horribly wrong. As the car tore down the strip, a tire gave out just as the parachutes deployed. The Super Cyclops veered off course and slammed into the guardrail. When it stopped moving, 3 people were dead, including Gene Thomas. Luckily, Art survived again. But this time, it was different. He was shaken deeply. This wasn't a risk he had taken alone. Others had paid the price with their lives, and that haunted him. After that crash, Art Arfons stepped away from competitive jet racing for good. Even though he left the racetrack behind, Art Arfons didn't stop building. He shifted gears and turned his attention to tractor pulling. Not just any tractors, of course. These were turbine-powered monsters, roaring down dirt tracks, blowing smoke and fire like dragons. The Green Monster name lived on, but now in farm fields and stadiums across the country. And just like before, Art came to dominate. His tractors were loud, ridiculous, and impossible to beat. He brought the same wild creativity and mechanical guts to this new world that had made him a legend on the Salt. But Art's real legacy wasn't just speed. It was the way he made speed possible. He helped pioneer safety in drag racing. Before parachutes and roll cages became the norm, Art was welding them into his own cars because he needed them to survive. Those ideas saved lives and became standard in the sport. He proved you didn't need a factory or a team of engineers to break records. You just needed vision, stubbornness, and a garage full of spare parts. Art Arfons became a symbol of what one person can build with their own two hands. To the working class, especially in the Midwest, he was a hero. A local guy who made good. A racer who never played by the rules because he never had the money to. Even after his retirement, the legend kept going. His son, Tim Arfons, carried on the name, racing jet-powered dragsters and even jet-powered ATVs. His daughter, Dusty, joined him in tractor pulling, keeping the family tradition of noisy, fire-breathing machines alive. And all these monstrous cars became a symbol of courage. By 1989, Art Arfons was well into his 60s, but the Salt still called to him, as he wasn't done with speed just yet. That year, he rolled out Green Monster 27, a final shot at reclaiming the land speed record. The car was lighter, more refined, and still powered by a J79 jet engine, his old favorite. Initial tests went well. He was older, yes, but he was still Art Arfons. Still building monsters in his garage and still chasing something just beyond the horizon. But times had changed. Land speed racing had evolved into a high-budget, high-tech game. Art was now going up against computer simulations, aerospace materials, and corporate sponsors. And though his machine was fast, it wasn't enough. In 1991, he made his final land speed attempt and reached 338 miles per hour. It was respectable and bold, but not competitive. And with that, Art quietly stepped away without any press conference or dramatic farewell. He just stopped racing. But even off the Salt, his legend never faded. He remained a mythical figure in motorsport circles, one of the last true backyard racers. A man who had gone toe-to-toe with million-dollar teams using little more than ingenuity, scrap metal, and a deep understanding of machines. And in 2007, Art Arfons passed away at the age of 81. At his burial, he was laid to rest with a handful of Bonneville salt, a wrench, and a J79 jet engine manual. It was his life distilled into 3 perfect objects. So what did you think of this wild ride? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and what record-breaking machine or madman should we cover next? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss the next adventure. See you in the next one.